What's up, guys? Welcome to the Bolden Movement Podcast, Season 2. I have a returning guest. Dr. Judy Stavely is back to talk about fasting and how we recover. You guys loved her last time, so she is back. So thank you, Judy. Welcome. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm glad to be back. This is exciting.
Yep. So thanks for taking the time. Before we jump into our topic today, regarding fasting and how we recover and what our body's doing, since you have that jacket on, can we talk about what that means and the award that you just received?
Okay, so I'm a member of the USA Track and Field. I'm part of the Phillies Masters track and field team. And yes, at my age, we still compete competitively. We do shot put, we run the 800, we do track and field events. And so right now I'm training for the 5 miler at Valley Forge, which is coming up in a few weeks, that we will compete with my team in Philadelphia. And then, throughout the year, we have other team events. And just recently, I just yesterday actually received my 12th Fidipides Award from USTF, and I got the gold, so I'm excited. So it's not easy to get. Every year you have to run long distances and accumulate points to win the award. So they have gold, silver, and bronze awards, and then you submit it. So it was exciting to get another gold this year, and hopefully this year I can, continue on racing and then win another award.
Yes, that's awesome. So when it comes to like that running and that journey, what or would you say having that team keeps you motivated? Like, because I know you have a team surrounding you, right?
Correct. So I have an entire team. The Philadelphia Masters team is amazing. We have all ages on the team, all the way from, the teens all the way up to 90-year-olds competing. And excited to say that this past weekend or this past week in Gainesville, Florida, one of my teammates who is 80 years old just won gold for the shot put. And we were so excited to see her win the gold for that event. But again, you, you can continue to, compete in sports at any age. So when you think, oh, I'm at this age, I can't compete, doing track events, that's not true. If you get the proper coach like George and somebody to train you, you definitely can go compete in track and field events or triathlons and have fun with it and stay healthy.
Yeah, there's no limit. There's no cutoff.
No.
Right here. Proof right here. So, I know we just spoke a little bit about fasting even while you are training for races. So, if we jump into the topic of fasting, when someone is starting a fast for the benefit of losing weight, lowering cholesterol, maybe they're pre-diabetic, when someone has these health risks and things coming up in their life, they do want to try fasting. The best way to get into it is how, like how many hours do we jump into? And when we do get hungry, are we really thirsty first? Like how do we coach that new, person to start that first fast?
Well, there's one, first off, supportive science evidence that fasting is good for you, because as we make a new movement in, this healthy environment, we always want science-based evidence to support what we're doing, right? So, you know, I I like having a coach. I always recommend a coach if you're going to start the fasting process or the training process or trying to get into a weight loss program. One, see your doctor, get approval, all right? Make sure that everything's good to go to get a coach. Make sure that, you have a smart enough coach to get you, motivated and on the right track to good nutrition. And again, fasting is really good. It helps with your metabolic health. It helps with fat metabolism. It helps with chronic inflammation. especially with females, also with gut and hormone regulation, and the most of all, cardiovascular benefits. So, I personally fast even when I'm training because, again, it's good for you. And I do, like a 10-hour, 8 to 10 hour, depending on, how I feel, fasting per day. I do it daily. It's really a good, beneficial thing to do for your body.
Okay. And I also like to implement fasting, even though I do a lot of different type of training. I lift more weights, but I also do implement functional training because I refuse to be, a real stiff bodybuilder type, stereotypical person, because that's just not me. Um, so when I'm fasting, even when I'm lifting heavy or intensely, I still like to fast because I like personally the feeling of what it's almost like when you're running and you get like that second breath.
Mhm.
I feel that when I'm fasting for like long periods of time and I'm working out, it's like, ooh, I'm getting there, I'm starting to feel it, and then it breaks, and I can go another, 4 hours. But it's extreme, for someone starting out. So when I think of fasting, we spoke a little bit about it last time. It's not just which are very good, the physical benefits, but the mental benefits of you not being attached to situational food, right? Just because you're
Right.
at that party or you're at that gathering or that gala or that cocktail hour doesn't mean you have to always, dig in. So it's breaking that as well, because the hardest thing I feel like with fasting is the temptation is always going to be there. We just talked about, there being kids bringing donuts to the house or bringing cinnamon rolls to the house, right? So it's always going to be there. So it's also a mental game too. Can I detach, you know, from the food, or am I really overly attached to it? And what am I bringing so much food in for? Am I suppressing something? Am I doing it out of habit? Was I told to always clean my plate? There's all these things that people bring in
Mhm.
why they may overeat and have this attachment to food. So when I think of fasting, I like to push it to the extreme because I want to show people their strength. I'm not trying to get them to, be in discomfort, but I want to show them you can do it. And we spoke about the benefits of even those cells in your body that may be deformed or, damaged cells. They also start to rebuild after hours of fasting, 16 hours, maybe 17 hours of fasting.
Mhm.
And now another misconception about fasting, which I do want to ask you about, is recovery, like when you eat after fasting for a long time. Because a lot of people feel like just because I fasted all day, I need a huge meal, 3 desserts, and I need a protein shake because I need it all. But now you defeat the whole purpose of fasting because you had all the calories that I had that day in one sitting. So when it comes to you personally, like when you're breaking that fast, what are some things that you would break your fast with?
So I break my fast personally with a smoothie, and my smoothie contains protein. So protein's essential for our diet. Again, you want to get those 23 essential amino acids in your diet to, rebuild your skin, your cells. You just lost all of that during the fasting process. So I do a protein shake, which I include flaxseed, a lot of blueberries. A lot of blueberries are anti-inflammatories.
Right.
So it's that extra protective layer for my immune system. And then also, you know, I could also put avocado. Avocado is really good, but like I said, lately also I've been doing a bone broth soup that's become very popular. It has collagen, it has nutrients, it has protein in it. So there's different ways of breaking your fast, but those are my main ones that I'm doing right now.
When it comes to your smoothie per se, are you mixing that primarily with water or milk or almond milk, or what's your
I I I prefer almond milk. So I do the unflavored 30 calories because I'm always watching my weight also. And depending on how much protein I'm getting a day, so I calculate my protein. I'm actually keeping a journal. I started keeping a journal probably about a month ago, starting to calculate my protein intake because as I'm training and as I get older, also I need to ensure that I'm getting enough protein in my diet. And I realized that I wasn't. So, you want to do the calculation on how much protein your personal body needs. So I want to make sure that I'm getting the enough grams of protein per day. So I'm doing that. I'm keeping a journal for that. That's what I'm doing at the moment.
Do you find that women are deficient in protein typically?
Uh,
Like ask
yes.
you? Okay.
Yeah. So women are typically, deficient in protein, vitamin D. Um, I would always, when I was a professor, teaching biology, I would always ask how many students would be taking vitamins. And I maybe would get one student raise their hand and say, okay, I'm taking a daily vitamin. Vitamins are essential. If you're not eating properly and you're eating nothing but junk food all the time or fast food, which a lot of Americans do, right? You get busy, you go to work, you stop at McDonald's, you stop at Taco Bell, Subway, all those food places. You're going to get one, high sodium intake, which is not good, not proper nutrients in your body. So you need to get, your proper nutrients, either by a smoothie shake or, a daily vitamin. So I do a daily vitamin. I do my vitamin D. I also do electrolytes once a day. And then I just do a lot of supplements to ensure that, I get that baseline in my system. It's so essential to get probiotics. I don't leave that.
Yes. Before we get into probiotics, just real quick on electrolytes, because a lot of people think Gatorade. So when you
Right.
think electrolytes, what do you mean by getting in your electrolytes throughout the day?
So you want to, yeah, Gatorade has a lot of sugar.
Right.
They came out with a new one just recently. I was skiing last weekend, and there's a new brand of Gatorade that came out, which is zero sugar, and it has like magnesium, potassium. Those are the two main ones when you're working out. You really need your nutrients. Magnesium, I really stress a lot because it helps, lower blood pressure. So if people are suffering from blood pressure, it helps with that. It relaxes you. So if you're stressed out, suffer from anxiety, magnesium. So there's different forms of magnesium. I'm not going to go into all of them, but you get the idea. And then, like I said, there's a whole bunch of like, zinc is important. A daily vitamin will have zinc that helps your immune system. That's another one that I don't leave with daily, especially with, the winter months and flu going around and COVID going around. So I make sure that I have my zinc. So there's a lot of essential vitamins that you need. But back to the electrolytes. The electrolytes, you have a panel of electrolytes that you need daily. And you can just do an electrolyte tab. I prefer Noon. I'm sponsored by Noon. They've been with me for 10 years of my running career. So, yeah, I was been on the legacy team. So I'm excited to be back this year to be running on behalf of Noon. I like, their tablets because they don't have sugar. And some of them have like maybe a little minimal, sugar just for taste, which is still minimal for the amount that you want to, ingest. So, there's a bunch of different flavors from Noon. So I do at least one tablet a day, and I've been doing that for over 10 years because I know that I'm going to get my, electrolytes that I need that are essential for my body, especially during the hot months. And a lot of
Do you do
that
that
is coming.
in your water or is it on your
I
tongue?
do it in my water. I do it in the water. One tablet, you throw it in the water, and then it fizzes. It's almost like a carbonated soda, it tastes like.
Okay.
So, yeah. And they have other ones, that are during the fall immunity. I'm a big fan of the immunity tabs that they're probably going to go off the market here soon because they only come for the fall months. And I
A
like that.
handful of those. Yeah.
Yeah, those are great. I always get a case and I keep a case for the entire year because once they quit selling them for the summer months, they have an apple cider one that you can microwave in the oven and it's really you can drink it hot. So I like that. But it has higher levels of zinc. So when you're sick, I give everybody the immunity immune when they're sick. I'm like, here you go, drink one of these. It really helps you
Oh yeah, I
make
have to get this
yourself.
link from you. I have to try this out because I need my electrolytes because I like to fast for long hours and I don't want to eat and break it. So
Yeah, and I like it because again, it doesn't have a lot of sugar. It has the right, formalization that you need. And if we get too many electrolytes, you're just going to urinate it out, right?
right. Yep.
But again, you need those because it prevents cramping. So a lot of athletes get, cramping. So the magnesium helps prevent that. Your potassium, if you're not eating bananas have a lot of sugar. Um, I like bananas, but again, if you don't want to get that glucose spike,
Right.
you want to get your potassium in an electrolyte tab.
Will it help? Like if you say you don't have the tabs, you do have to have a banana. Does peanut butter or does like anything else help the glucose spike?
Yeah, so yeah, it does. So we talked about this, I think, in the last episode, but if you put, certain toppings on certain, foods, like I put lemon or a lime. I like lime on a lot of,
Yeah, please talk
veggies.
about the lime. Yes, the lime.
Yeah, so
Yes.
so even during the time I drink my electrolytes, I'll squeeze lime into my electrolytes drink. So I'll get like the triberry, the watermelon, and that mixes really well with the lime juice. But with the lime juice, you're getting vitamin C also. So you're getting that boost of vitamin C for your immune system. And vitamin C helps with collagen for your joints and your skin. So, but it's natural, right? You want to get as much natural nutrients as possible through your foods.
Right.
But if you're not getting it through your foods, you need to do a supplement.
Okay. And then just because I like to get specific, you also mentioned bone broth soup. And I
Mhm.
know in my mom's culture in Jamaica, we have oxtail and stuff like that. So there's an oxtail bone. So is that one of the things I could use for a homemade bone broth soup? Or how do you?
Yes. So you get the cow bones for beef broth, bone soup. I was buying it actually, just at the store, and it's really expensive. Like one little carton for 8 ounces is a good $10, right?
Okay.
So I personally go to the farmer, or you can ask your butcher for the bones, to make bone broth soup, and you boil it on the stove for, 2 days, 24 hours to 48 hours, depending on what you're trying to, what kind of soup flavor you're trying to uh, accomplish. So you can put rosemary's, herbs, all that good stuff, and
Spice.
just
Yes.
yeah, all the spices, and boil it. And then you also want to put apple cider vinegar in the soup to extract the minerals, which is the collagen for the most part, which is protein. And usually, a cup of bone broth will have a good, minimum 10 grams of protein. So that is really a good way to also break your fasting, is doing a cup of bone broth soup.
Bone broth.
But again, yes, and it's a lot cheaper if you do it yourself. But again, it's there. You can go to the market, the organic section, and get like the grass-fed organic bone broth soups. There's different flavors, but
You're
it's
talking about
really
the
good for you.
prepackaged ones?
The prepackaged ones, yeah.
Or some
Some
are
of it,
higher in sodium though, right?
right, and some of them will have low sodium, but again, if you make your own, right, you're controlling the ingredients in your soup. So
Oh, yeah,
to make
that's
the
right.
soup, to make the soup, all you need is water and bones. So, and then you put your own herbs, and then I don't use much salt. So
Right.
eventually, if you're just putting natural herbs like rosemary, right, and using the bones and water, one, you're getting hydrated, you're getting electrolytes, and you're getting protein. And I don't use too much sodium, but you do need some sodium in your diet to function correctly. But again, the American people get way too much sodium in their diet,
And sugar, right?
and sugar, glucose. And those, again, sugar, the high sugar causes high inflammation. So that's why we see a lot of chronic inflammation and diseases, chronic diseases in the United States, because we have this continue problem with a lot of sugar in our diet.
Mm. Sugars and dyes and everything. I think
Mm-hmm.
that it's maybe getting better, like awareness wise, but is everybody actually, changing? I don't know. But at least the information is getting out there, you would say, right?
Right. And I think as this new movement of awareness occurs, right, it's going to take some time. Things don't happen overnight, but education is essential, you know, educating the public. It's a public health thing. But again, some companies are changing the way they cook French fries. They're going to probably use natural ingredients, at least give the people options, right? And then, but again, are the people going to do it? I don't know. Some people are stuck in their ways and they might not want to change their diet. But if you're exercising, exercising and sweating is a form of detox. So you get those bad, bugs out of you, those bad toxins. So exercising is essential. It's medicine. And it should be, I wish insurance would pay for, like gym memberships. I mean, Planet
Yeah.
Fitness or whatever is not that expensive. It's like
Yeah.
$15 a month. But at the end, if you're going, 3 times a week, it's going to be so beneficial.
Yeah. That's the next thing we got to push for corporates, corporations to actually have that as part of their compensation plan for their employees.
And there is a lot of companies that pay. I know my companies that I used to work for, they would give you a reimbursement for, a gym membership, or they would give you um 2 hours out of your day to go work out if you're like on salary, right? So most of
Right.
us, like for me, would work 24/7. So you get like a 2 hour break to just go work out.
But I know like the percentage of people that use it is probably low, right?
Um, I really don't know, to be honest, who uses it and who. I guess that would probably that'd be an interesting research to find out the
I
percentage of
do I
how
do
many
want to
people.
find out because I wonder like if I were to go to like a corporate company and run them through, whether it's stretches or movement or talk about nutrition, that same fund is what they're giving employees, but most of them don't even use it.
I would go use it and I'd be like, hey, you want to go to the gym? And people like, that's like
Yeah.
free me time.
Yeah. You almost have to make people do it sometimes.
I know.
All right. And then, so getting back into, say you're fasting and you're going through your day, it's hectic, whatever, and you do start to get feeling a hunger. What are some things throughout the day? I know for me, throughout the day, if I get hungry during a fast, and these aren't dry fast, mind you, I'll have, water or green tea, and I'll try to keep going through my fast. What are some things
Right.
that you have if you're like, it's a day you're supposed to be fasting and you do feel that hunger? I know you may do like a bar. You don't have to be specific on that bar or
It's
what you
okay.
have, but like, what do you do?
So I do a step one bar. That's the brand of the bar. I like it. It has a lot of nutrients in it. And I like the science-backed evidence that the bar has. So I do one of those. I carry a bar with me all the time, just in my bag, because I just never know when I might just get really hungry. But and then I'll do a handful of pecans. I like pecans. Almonds, it's either a handful of pecans, almonds, cashews, some type of nuts. And then just, like you said, I'll do some green tea, but in the winter months, I like to change my teas up. I do a lot of tea. And so I really love cacao tea.
Okay.
Um,
Never had it.
yeah, it's got magnesium and, antioxidant benefits. It's really good. It's actually the cacao bean shells, and you make it into a tea. I highly recommend it. It's really good. So also I've been doing it's cacao brew. It's almost like in between a coffee. It's almost like they're grounds. It's cacao, like they look like coffee grounds. So it's in between a coffee and a hot cocoa or a thicker tea. So I really like that because again, I think cacao has great benefits for nutrients. It has magnesium. It helps you sleep. It's a natural high energy that will give you throughout the day. I love coffee, so I've been trying to cut away from coffee or the high caffeine throughout the day.
So
I
I'm
do
sure
coffee.
if you do coffee,
I
you
do.
what's in it? What?
I just pretty much black. Some days I'll put a little cold foam, but I don't put any sugar. I was drinking nothing but black, but now that, I need a little sugar in my diet for my training, so I'll put that's my little treat. I'll put some cold foam on
Okay.
my coffee. And
Nice. That's a good tip.
yeah, that's what I like.
And then, so another thing that comes into play that we spoke about a little bit was listening to your body, like first thing in the morning. I know there's mornings where I'm hungry, whether I trained that night or whatever it was the night before, and I'm gonna decide to either have a really big breakfast or I'm going to fast all day and not eat until the evening. So if my body's telling me I'm hungry in the morning, I will listen and I will eat, and then I'll reverse my flip flop my fast. So do you flip flop your fast sometimes? Is it not always like at the same hours?
I do actually. Like you said, if I'm running long distances the night before or the day before, I mean, my training, on the weekends are long distances. They'll consist of 10 to 10 miles, right? And then the next morning, I'm just like, I'm so hungry because my metabolism's going. So I'll break my fast for, that day. And then throughout the week, if I'm just conditioning, doing about, 3 to 5 miles a week or strength training with cross training, my metabolism will kind of level out. So, I'll continue with my fasting.
Okay. And then, so do you ever take like a full break from fasting? Are you always in a state of fasting?
I, when I'm training, it becomes natural. Like right now, I haven't eaten anything, right? I think the last time I ate was yesterday, probably about 5 p.m. and it's almost
Mm.
10 a.m. So, but it becomes a natural thing. The only
Right.
thing I've had is coffee, right?
Right.
So I'll eat something before I work out because I'm going to need the nutrients and the food to get me through a long running, training program.
And you're gonna
But
run, right? So
right.
what's like a snack you would grab before you would run? Not heavy on your stomach.
I'll probably do my smoothie just because I know my smoothie, before I run, it's not going to irritate my stomach. So I'll do, my protein smoothie with probably my blueberries and flax seeds and whatever else I'd put in there, some collagen. And then, digest it, kind of wait an hour and then go for my run.
Okay. And then do you eat a meal like after your workout today, or will you wait till the evening?
Yes. Yes. And sometimes if I'm out and about and I can't like eat a full meal or something, I'll take snacks with me, like, some food, two pecans or something. But for the most part, yeah, I'll probably eat, depending on what I'm craving. I love salads. So I like to get some roughage in, but again, I need to repair my muscles. So again, here comes the protein. I
Right.
really need to like focus on the protein in my diet. So I'll try to get some chicken, some bone broth, um, you know, something healthy, um, in my diet after I work out.
Okay. And then because I agree, I actually dream about the food I'm going to eat during my workout because I know I haven't eaten. So part of my motivation when I work out is knowing I get to break my fast after this. So I like going into breaking my fast for me to have that workout first and then, start my day after that workout. It's like, I feel like people think just because we're talking about healthy and organic foods that it's like flavorless and tasteless, but you can really spice it up and use different, combinations, herbs and spices to actually make it something that you like. You shouldn't dread the food that you're about to eat just because you're on like a weight loss journey and stuff. So definitely have fun with it and spice it up. And, you know, I'll trade more recipes and stuff with people, but I don't want them to feel like just because you're healthy means it's bland or it's boring or it's too expensive or it's out of reach or it takes too much time. You can start with small steps, and a big takeaway is the quality. Everything that we talked about today was high quality foods that were all beneficial to your body, nutrition wise. So think about the quality of the food that you're eating versus I can't eat after 7. Okay, before we figure out the time, let's get the quality down. And then we can
Right.
get the timing down, right? And then we can play with how long can that window be and what your electrolyte complex, will be in that window. But first, let's think about the quality of that food. And then another big struggle that I'll ask you about in closing will be the sweet tooth. So popular thing is the sweet tooth. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing about the sweet tooth?
So, since I've been training really hard and eating clean probably
Right.
for the last 6 months, I will say that, my sweet tooth isn't there anymore. I think it kind of disappeared, which is a good thing. I did mention to you earlier that I try to have a little bite of a cinnamon roll with the icing on it, and the sugar was so overwhelming for me that I just didn't even want to finish the bite.
Right.
So I think, my body has adapted to not eating sugar anymore, which is a good thing. So I'm not craving it. So yeah, but again, I do need some sugars, right, in my diet, which will mostly focus on natural sugars because I need those sugars to sustain my energy. So, like I said, I'm also doing complex carbs on certain days. So I'll do oatmeal with some blueberries to sustain my energy for long runs. A lot of people the night before, like a marathon, will like to do, carb loading. I'm not one for pasta. So there'll be other ways that I will carb load before, I don't, you should sustain yourself throughout the distance of the run that you're doing. For me, it's like every 5 miles that I need to like get some refuel in me. And I don't like to do the goos anymore because the goos, really upset my stomach. So it's funny because as I got older, in my fanny pack, I actually carry actual food if I can,
Oh,
or
really?
in my backpack. Yeah. I mean, and it could be something like nuts, something that's not going to upset my stomach. Of course, some electrolytes, right? So some protein. I try to like pack a little, they have now mini, um, little protein bars. So I'll take a mini or make your own. You can make your own too, protein bars. And so, they're probably like an inch big, and then you'll eat that like every 5 miles so you can sustain. Yeah, you can do it. So let me tell you this and give you a little advice on the training because I had to do a conference last week, and I was at a conference for 3 days and I wasn't able to train or run or anything. So you have to condition every day, even if it's a little bit, even if it's a half mile to wake up your cells.
Mhm.
And so getting back and running, you just go slow. Just go slow and don't go fast. Don't push yourself. If you're going to push yourself and do intervals to get up, to a faster speed, I highly recommend that like maybe once a week. But, you know, do 1, 2 miles a day slowly, and then do your fast workout once a week, and then do your long distances. See how fast, or how far you can go, not how fast, but how far you can go, like maybe on a Saturday. Yes. Yes. And then just make sure that you can finish the distance. It doesn't matter the time, just that you don't stop. So don't even look at your watch. Just make sure that if you want to run that entire distance, don't look at your watch and just see how far you can go without stopping.
Okay.
And then, but it takes time to train. So people think that, you can go out there and do a marathon. I mean, it takes me a year to train for a marathon.
Oh, wow.
And so, you really want to, and there's a strict program I follow. It's every day I have a certain set of mileage that I have to do. And then once a week or twice a week, I'm in the gym doing weights. You need to build that muscle. So you can't just go out there and do a race. You need to train for it. And I always say, get out there. If you're going to do a 10K, do a 5K first. So you kind of gauge, okay, well, if I can do a 5K in 30 minutes, right? Well, let me see if I can like maybe, do the 5K in a little bit longer time so I can finish that 10K, right? So kind of maybe aim for a 10K at an hour mark. Try to go for the 60 minutes, or of course, yes. Get a friend to run with or walk with, yeah, walk, run, and have fun, have some discussions. It goes faster.